Oh my goodness, I have notes in my hand and notes on the podium. Hi folks, I'm Anthony Malkin, Chairman, President, CEO of Empire State Realty Trust. Welcome to the world's most famous building. We're so grateful that our partners, President Bill Clinton, Governor Kathy Hochul, Mayor Eric Adams, and NYSERDA President and CEO Doreen Harris can be here to join us and announce our groundbreaking project, the Empire Building Playbook, an owner's guide to low carbon retrofits, or as we refer to it around here, ESRT version.
Vice President Janet Joseph dedicated her life to this, retiring after 30 years. Although I haven't signed any paperwork, so I'm not sure I'm going to let you go, okay? We have a lot more buildings to take care of before you can... No, are not those factories anymore. They're buildings. So we tackled the buildings, we solved the planet crisis, and it began in a room like this right here today, and all of you were part of it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Governor. New York City is a... Actually, excuse me. I have other comments. No, I didn't. Right here. Oh, it's down here at the bottom. Sorry. I'm an amateur. It is our privilege to co-develop this project. I'd like to add that your appointment of a leader from the Bloomberg administration, Rit Agrawala, for this task is admirable. This is just one additional example of how you have not turned your back on the past. Rather, you have made steps to gather the best of what has gone before and bring us forward to a better future. The foundation for this project began right here with President Clinton's climate initiative and IRA Magaziner in the fall of 2007, with the groundbreaking deep energy retrofit announced in April 2009, just down the floor here, that to this date has reduced the Empire State Building's carbon emissions by 54%, with extraordinary returns on investment. President Clinton was the first to recognize and amplify globally the importance of energy efficiency in the existing built environment, and his mindfulness and convening power that introduced us to the great brain of Amory Lovins and the Rocky Mountain Institute, truly changed the course of history on this subject, and to leaders in industry who gathered together in secret to create something great. It was from President Clinton that I learned that buildings play a huge role in carbon output. More than 90% of the buildings that will be in this city, in this state, in the next 20 years are here already. We have to make what is here efficient, and we have to do that with an investment and return approach. The Empire State Building is 90 years young. We're about to have our 91st birthday. We have the most modern elevators in the world, which generate electricity as they go down to power elevators which go up. We have remanufactured 6,514 windows on site, 96% of which utilize the original frames and glass to improve our thermal barrier. We have taken innumerable additional steps in an integrated life cycle approach, investment and return approach, and at the same time, we have raised the standards for indoor environmental quality and healthy buildings. Flight to quality is a buzz phrase of today. Flight to quality in real estate does not require carbon-intensive demolition and new construction in all cases. Companies and their employees can be responsible and make that flight to quality even if they cannot afford to spend $150 to $300 per square foot rents. Redeveloped and repurposed existing buildings like the Empire State Building must be our future if we, as an economy, a culture, and a civilization, are to succeed and thrive. President William Jefferson Clinton oversaw the country's longest peacetime economic expansion. He remains a tireless champion of climate and humanitarian causes through his organization, the Clinton Foundation. Please welcome the Honorable Bill Clinton, the 42nd President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, I'm very grateful to the mayor and the governor for being here and for supporting this project. Mayor Adams was kind enough to come to Harlem to see me one day, and he said, you know, we got a lot of challenges out there. You got any ideas? I said, yeah, call Tony Malkin. This is a true story. I said, if you think about it, if you want jobs for young people who don't have a lot of skills and who need income and need the order and dignity of work, the best way to do it is with a massive energy efficiency effort. One of the best things the famously wealthy Mayor Bloomberg ever did was cheap. He had a summer jobs program where they paid kids to go seal the roofs of flat top, tar top buildings. Remember that? Some of you, if you come to my office in Harlem, for example, you now look out and almost all the old roofs are white. And the ones that aren't are those that just came up. So when President Biden was elected and we had a new Congress and they started putting out this recovery money, and then Governor Hochul and the mayor were interested in all this, we had one sort of focus. So I want to say, if I can, in terse practical terms, what a cause I have literally been working on for 45 years. It may finally be here to strike a match and burn a flame and involve everybody. Those of us who are politicians, which I consider a positive term, not a negative one, but we spend a lifetime debating in public, and the press has to try to translate it to the people what it is we're about. Why are we doing what we're doing? Most of the questions are, what are you going to do and how much money are you going to spend on it? Whether it's a project like this or tax cuts or anything in between. Almost nobody talks about whatever it is you're going to do and however much money you have or don't, how do you propose to do it to help the most people and achieve your stated objectives? The reason I always liked Tony Malkin is he was obsessed with answering the how questions. And he's got all these partners that have already been thanked and introduced whose job it was to answer that. So this blueprint that is being released today, I'm going to say, first of all, you think about all the arguments we've had in the last 20 years about protecting patents for medicine that determines whether we flourish or not. Malkin has always been willing to share everything about how the Empire State Building and now all the related buildings achieved the savings they've achieved, how many jobs were created, how much did power bills go down, how much benefit did ordinary people get. Now you get it in one place and nobody has an excuse anymore. So to me, this day is about looking forward about two things. We're still fighting within ourselves and around the world over how much we can reduce emissions and convert to a carbon-free future in the generation of electricity and in transportation generally and other areas. And every year there's some report where somebody's wringing their hands again saying, we're not moving fast enough and calamitous consequences will ensue if we don't do X, Y, Z. And every year, the closer we get to D-Day, the more harsh these consequences seem to be, but the steeper the cuts need to be because we're running out of time. Now, here is one thing we can do that deals with most cities' emissions are 70% from the already built environment. As has been said before, you can't outsource the jobs. And it's the most cost-effective thing to do. If we could do an Empire State job on every sizable building in every city in America in the next 2 years, we would probably buy 20 years more time before the worst consequences of climate change come down on us like a ton of bricks. And we would end a lot of the political divides, because how can you be against doing more with less? How can you be against creating jobs for innovative companies that both help us and don't hurt anybody else? And Tony's even thought through how to make this work for utility companies. I mean, so this is a big deal. So here's what I want all of you to think about. We're all preaching to the choir, as I was raised to say, here in the room. The real test of this is, will this be the first time in the 40 years I've been working on this, and 15 years since I started working on specifically building efficiency in New York, will this be the first time in which people will be given a manual about what works, and they'll actually do something about it? Because that's how all this conversation started with the mayor. Will finally people say, well, here it is. This is what happened at the Empire State Building. They started out with a goal to cut emissions by 38%. And I think it was Johnson Controlled. Somebody gave them a guarantee that if you did these things, they'll cut. So they're always conservative, because nobody wants to, not make money on their contract. So now they're well over 40% in savings. And it didn't cost anybody anything in the end. And it's given cleaner air to breathe. There are no downsides to this if you just answer the how questions. That's the only thing I want you to remember. The only thing that really matters now is, are we going to take this blueprint that they have produced and do another 1,000 buildings with it, or 2,000 buildings? Will somebody from Buffalo call the mayor today and say, for God's sake, send it to me? Will we get the call from Syracuse? Will they be in New Jersey saying, why am we not doing this now? That's what I want you to think about. This is a culmination of years of effort. It's hard to sell something in politics. It takes years to catch on. It's hard to sell something with a lot of moving parts. But when you've got it in a little book that's like the books I read to my grandchildren at night, and nearly everybody can understand it, it ought to be easy. So if you believe New York should have more jobs, if you believe that we should avoid the worst consequences of climate change, if you don't want to see the rising waters flood the south end of Manhattan, if you hate all these horrible things, do this. Give people the dignity of work. Create new businesses. Clean the air. And it all started because Tony Malkin saw an opportunity in making the Empire State Building the oldest big building in the entire world to get a leadership in energy and environmental design designation. He saw the same reality everybody else did and imagined it differently. Amory Lovins wanted to construct a monument to him because he'd been selling people this for decades and people laughed at him. We know now. Now we don't have any excuse. So every one of us has to go get more buildings, more building owners. Our grandchildren are depending on you. Thank you.
I would really like to thank President Clinton for using his bona fides with Mayor Adams on my behalf, because until he did, I think Mayor Adams was a little more focused that I had supported my brother's college roommate, Ray McGuire. So, well, as I said, Mayor Adams is very inclusive. Very inclusive. Thank you. Thank you, President Clinton. As we finish, thank you to my hardworking and innovative colleagues at Empire State Realty Trust, our partners in this effort who are represented here today, and supremely, my partner in these efforts for more than a decade and a half, Empire State Realty Trust's Senior Vice President and Director of Sustainability, Energy, and ESG, Dana Robbins Schneider.